Football kicks off week 9 of its NFL season this evening as the Baltimore Ravens with Lamar Jackson back at quarterback go down to his hometown of Miami to take on the Dolphins as 7.5-point favorites. Now, Lamar Jackson spoke very candidly this week about kicking on out of the locker room. Okay, if we're winning, maybe it's not a problem. We're losing, we need to lock in a little bit more. He was doing that whenever he wasn't even playing. Now, remember, had a hamstring injury a couple weeks back. Everybody saw him on the sideline not going in the game. They thought, Lamar Jackson, this guy quit on the team. This guy quit on the team. Turns out that ended up being about a month-long hamstring injury, including a bye week and then a missed game post that. Now he's back on a Thursday night in Miami in a must-win game for this Baltimore Ravens team. And everybody thinks that they're going to must-win and will win. The sportsbooks still have the Baltimore Ravens as the favorites to win the AFC North, even though they're 2-5 or whatever it is at this point. But they're going to rattle off a bunch of wins, what the sportsbooks thinks, and the reason is because Lamar Jackson is special and maybe the defense has figured out how to play football. Patrick Ricard being back for the Baltimore Ravens at fullback is a massive ordeal for the way they operate as well. Will tonight just be an absolute clobbering of the Miami Dolphins? Let's go to one half of the Hammer Dad Cowboys at Bubba Gumpino. He wore his full Dolphins costume today. This is not Halloween. This is Victory Gumpy heading into a prime time matchup against Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens. Last week, you guys played the best game you guys have played in a long, long time. Vibes, obviously, immaculate. Can't enjoy an entire victory week, because the game's on Thursday, not on Sunday. You got 4 good days of celebration here. What did you see from the boys last week against the Falcons that make you think, you know what? Why not the Miami Dolphins going forward? And how do you like your chances against the Baltimore Ravens, old Gumps?
All season, we couldn't stop the run and we couldn't run the football. Last week, we did both at a very high level. Got to keep doing that. Let me tell you about the last time the Ravens came into Miami on Thursday night.
Ooh.
They're about 12.5-point favorites. Everyone said we were going to get crushed. Boys are going to get it done tonight. We're riding this momentum. The Fins are going right now. That was the best game I've seen them play all 3 phases last week in a long, long time.
All right, well, thanks for telling us about it. We do appreciate you telling us all about what the Dolphins did last time against the Baltimore Ravens on Thursday night. Feels different just strictly because Lamar Jackson being back and the vibes and kind of the culture with the Baltimore Ravens are currently at. Obviously, a lot of people in Baltimore, and I don't want to speak for the entire fan base, but it feels like Harbaugh's potentially on, hey, we got to win. And Lamar Jackson, seemingly with the rest of the locker room and the culture, hey. We got to win. And on defensive side, it's, hey, are we playing Baltimore Ravens football or not over here? I couldn't even imagine the conversations that have taken place behind closed doors over there with the amount of outside pressure that could be creeping into that entire beautiful castle they got over there as a practice facility. But tonight's a huge one in prime time on Amazon Prime with Kirk and Al and Kaylee Hartung on the call, Carissa Thompson, Richard Sherman, who... Don't look now. I think he's going to be in studio here soon.
Okay.
I do believe Richard Sherman's coming through the Thunderdome. Shout out to Fitz and Witt and then Tony Gonzalez as well. They got a great show, and I think tonight is going to provide a lot of opportunity. They're going to be down in Miami. It's supposed to be 80 degrees. Clear skies down in Miami. The Toxic Table's here at Boston Connor, at Ty Schmidt. Feels like we're going to have a good game tonight.
Oh, yeah. I'm so excited to see Lamar again. It's one of those things you kind of forget about, especially when he, misses games. Ravens have a slow start, and then you forget what Lamar can do. And you mentioned Patrick Ricard. AQ Shipley came in here yesterday and about his skeleton, but also about the fact that the Ravens now with Patrick Ricard has completely changed their entire team. But I'll tell you what about Gumpy's point. You go 1-5 to 3-5 in 6 days. All of a sudden, those Miami Dolphins do look like they're building something because they beat the Atlanta Falcons and Kirk Cousins, but that defense is very good, and they hung 30 on them. So all of a sudden, hold on, Miami might be up to something as well.
And Baltimore's defense obviously has not been performing that fantastically, which is very abnormal for the Baltimore Ravens as a whole. And you look at their records, you don't have a lot of wins at the top of this thing. Okay? You don't have a lot of wins. 2-5, 2-6. Thursday night, prime time, the NFL fresh off its biggest weekend in 55 years. Now we got this crap on Thursday night is how you could view that. If you only look at the record. Joining us now, ladies and gentlemen, is a man who just secured another bag via Pete Thamel's tweet. There's some breaking news out of the college football world. Nebraska coach Matt Rhule signed a 2-year contract extension this morning, which will take him through the 2032 season. It includes a $15 million buyout this year that effectively eliminates him from any jobs in this coaching cycle. Interesting wording for Pete Thamel. Joining us now, ladies and gentlemen, the head coach of Nebraska. The man just signed 2-year extension this morning, Matt Rhule.
Hey, coach.
What's up, fellas?
Congratulations. I know obviously not the best outcome. We don't want that. We want to win by 100 every single time. But congratulations on an extension with Nebraska. How'd we get to this point? How long has this been in the works? And congrats. You watched us read Pete Thamel's tweet. I don't think he was as celebratory as he should be. Congratulations to you, bro.
Yeah.
Hey, Randy out of Carolina, bro. Signing a new deal with Nebraska. Congratulations.
No, thank you very much. Yeah, I mean, we were on I think 2 weeks ago, and we talked about it. And I told you guys how much we love it here, And to me, there's lots of great jobs, but very, very rarely in this business do you find a home. And we felt like Nebraska's our home. This program's our home. I love these players. I love this place. Our AD, Troy Dannon, has been amazing to me. Our president, Dr. Gold. And I mean, it's just the alignment. I mean, you see places that don't have alignment. We got amazing alignment, and we're building. And so, I think after about week 3, Troy started talking to me about it, and I just was like, hey, I just got to focus on football. But I appreciate it. They're betting on the future, and we're doubling down.
Congrats, man. That's very cool to hear.
Yeah.
You've been this way about Nebraska since you got there. I think you were very excited. There was other jobs that you could have had, and you also could have just become a professional golfer like some fired coaches have in the past and collected the check and it all. I'm excited that you're back in a place that you absolutely love over there in Nebraska.
Coach, how's your relationship with Lincoln Riley? I believe you guys go back to the Baylor OU days, and you might have played a few times. I'm not 100% sure about that, just like most things. But how do you approach an offense like that? Do you go back and look at all the games, he called both at Oklahoma and, with Caleb Williams and things of that nature? And how are you feeling, going up against a guy that was such an offensive guru for so many years?
Yeah, I think he's brilliant. I think he's a great guy. He was the offensive coordinator at East Carolina when I was at Temple as the head coach. So, I mean, going all the way back to he had a great offense at East Carolina. And then obviously at OU and Baylor, so I had a chance to go against him there. And I think he's one of the best offensive minds in football. And he does it so many different ways. He played one way with Baker. The next year he had Kyler Murray. He played a different way. The next year he had Jalen Hurts and revamped his offense. But at the end of the day, he always scores points. They run the football. And so, for us, there's no secret formula. We got to play well. We're going to have to play well on offense, defense. We've been playing great on special teams. We have to keep that up. And, get to the fourth quarter. Hopefully it's, in the 20s. It's freezing cold here Saturday night. And get to the fourth quarter and be ready to just go make one more play.
It does feel like it's starting to become Big Ten weather time. It's raining this morning. The leaves are falling. We've had these beautiful, majestic, orange, pink leaves for like the last 2 weeks or so. It has been great. This morning, rain, wind, goodbye. Berries, terrible weather coming. Is it like that in Nebraska right now as well?
Oh yeah, so I wear shorts every day, Pat, and I don't use the indoor. And if I ever can't handle the cold, I'm like, all right, guys, let's go to the indoor. So that's like my barometer. And yesterday, it was so cold yesterday that I walked over to Holgerson. I was like, Dana, do you want to go inside? And he said, no, I love it out here. I was like, oh my gosh. I mean, it was debilitatingly cold and windy. So but that's, again, you've heard me complain, like that's football. Like it wasn't meant to be played all the time. Every game wasn't meant to be played indoors or in the sun. Like you got to deal with this. And so I'm fired up to be in this type of weather now.
Dana, you want to go inside or no? No, this is good.
He let me down.
DC said the same thing, man. Everybody. I just asked Dylan. I said, Dylan, you want to go inside? He said, no. I'm like, what is your guys' problem? What is your guys' problem? It is freezing cold out here. Saturday during the day, 47 degrees. Nighttime, 31.
Oh,
winds light and variable. Good for kickers. Don't know where they're coming from. Don't worry about it. And then obviously 81% humidity is going to make it a little chill.
Yeah.
That's going to make a little bit of a sting on the face there whenever you talk about below freezing. Congratulations to you guys getting USC in Nebraska in that weather. Tone has a question for you.
Yeah, Coach, I don't mean to go back to the loss to Minnesota, but Coach Saban always talks to us on this show about teams that, like his team specifically, and then other teams that this year needed to lose. After that loss to Minnesota, was that something that was needed for your guys, and what was the message after that?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I after that game because I felt like I think PJ Fleck's a great coach. I think he's got 8 years there, wherever he's been there, 8-9 years of establishing a culture. And I felt like as a team, we did not respect the process and how hard that game was going to be. And so it's 7-6 at halftime. and we're in the locker room like despondent. And I'm like, what's wrong with you guys? Like, this is what football's like. And so I thought we had to come. I didn't want to lose, but we came out of that loss, and then they bullied us in the fourth quarter, and they were very receptive to the message on Sunday and Monday, like, hey, every game's going to be hard. We're going to have to battle every single game, get to the fourth quarter. So we go in at halftime this week, and it's 7-6 again. Now we're up this time 7-6, but I walked in the locker room. I'm like, hey, who are you going to be in the second half? And we got a 15-point lead. They came back, tied it up, and we go down and win the game at the end. And that's the type of team that you need in college football now. Resilient, humble, because it's just travel, there's weather, there's good teams, there's NIL, there's parity. You better battle every single week. And I wasn't happy after Minnesota at all.
Okay, everything's still in front of you, though, right? You're telling your team, obviously. Now, let's look at the final 4 games. USC, if you're able to get a win, you will be able to get a win. We're talking to the head coach of the team. That would be obviously huge. UCLA, obviously a win. You would like to have that would be a good win, but they've been playing good ball as well. Penn State, obviously, before the season looks different than it does now. And if Iowa next week is to beat Oregon, that game at the end of the year, obviously pretty gigantic. You go back to your first game of the season, Cincinnati's become a very, very, very big team. It's like all of a sudden everything literally still in front of you, Coach Rhule, right? That's the angle, at least you're seeing the same thing I'm seeing?
Absolutely. I mean, our whole goal as a program is to come down to this time of year, get to November, and be relevant, be chasing getting into the playoff, be chasing all these things. And so, USC has that same hope. Iowa has that same hope. They're both at 5-2 and 6-2, and that's the parity of the Big Ten. And so, to your point, like we beat Cincinnati, and they're a highly ranked team. I mean, we've had some good moments, but it's all about what you do in November. You know better than anybody else, right? Like, so all that stuff got you ready for this point. Everything's in front of you now. Go play great football, and this is an unbelievable challenge this week versus a great team, and we'll be ready for it.
Halloween, best candy. Oof. Think about it.
Oh my God, Butterfinger.
Wow. What were you battling with? There?
Well, because I hate to admit this, my daughters have those nerd clusters things that they came out with now.
Don't hate them. I'm a chocolate guy as well. Yeah, it's hard to admit that the little candies are pretty good. Those are unbelievable.
They're amazing.
Too many, huh? You having a lot?
Well, I mean, all I'm saying is, I'm just trying to lose all this weight. We get the Halloween week. I've been on a bender since like Monday. We do Julie does like a trunk or treat for all the coaches' kids, and I've just been eating candy nonstop.
Yeah, you're supposed to, though. Yep. Hey, this is part of it. Yeah, you're supposed to.
Live a little.
Yeah, don't worry about it. Butterfinger, Nerd Clusters, Reese's Oreos exist.
Yeah.
I mean, you do whatever you need to do over there. You've earned it. Ladies and gentlemen, Super Bowl champion, Coach Mike McCarthy.
Yeah, Coach.
How are you, Coach?
Ooh, enjoyed that segment. That was awesome.
Okay, Coach. All right, I'm going to put you on the spot here, and
okay.
I mentioned it at the end of the last hour. Your name has not been brought up for any college job at all. Okay, now we're in the world though where NFL coaches think that college football is more similar to the NFL than it's ever been. And maybe, with the draft class is basically just your recruiting class, and then portal is free agency. So maybe NFL guys are more likely to become college coaches because it's more of a similar operation. Now, like I said, nobody has mentioned the great Irishman from Pittsburgh for any of these college jobs. Have you ever considered college? Or are you just NFL guy through and through? And what is your views on the current state of college football?
Well, I mean, there was a time, actually, when I first got into coaching, I got into it for college football. I mean, that was my goal, back at the University of Pittsburgh. I was there in 1989 and 1992. And if you'd have told me I could have stayed there for 25 years on an assistant coach's contract, I would have signed it. I just felt that, college football was the period of a young man's life that you could make the biggest impact. So that was my initial, goal of getting into coaching, and what attracted me to get into coaching. So, but then 1993, I got an opportunity at a young age by Marty Schottenheimer to be in the National Football League at Kansas City. And then really from there, that's been my flight, professionally. So, I looked at some things early in my time in the NFL, but, back then, I mean, it was so hard to get in the NFL. It was, I can just remember the first staff that I was on. I think I was 29 years old. And, I think the next oldest guy might have been, in his late 30s, early 40s. So I mean, it was such a hard league to get into, even more so at that time. But I do agree with you. You see the parallels now, how the college landscape has gone more towards the professional with the payment of players and so forth. And I know just the friends that I have in college football, they do feel that the regularity of the college game is starting to get more and more balanced, and there is a little more clarity. But it's a tough gig, and especially just seeing what's going on here the last 2 weeks with with some of these buyouts. So I thought you made a lot of excellent points.
Okay. Hey, I appreciate hearing that from you, legitimately. And thank you for getting us a shout out on Sunday Night Football. I mean, we're having quite a little run here. I don't know if you know about us. You get us a shout out on Sunday Night Football. Thank you. Run it.
Among the interested spectators tonight, Mike McCarthy, who, of course, coached the Packers when they beat the Steelers in Super Bowl 45, coached Aaron for a long time, and a guy who grew up in Pittsburgh. He is Western PA through and through. And, of course, after the run at Dallas, he has some time on his hands now. See him on TV, Pat McAfee show every week. Always enjoy talking ball with Mike, and he is here to take.
Thank you, man. Yeah, right. That would never happen. Also, you look so cool. Kangol hat up there. I see a couple maybe concoctions in it. How was the game? And then let's dive into the game. But first, how was the suite? How was life in Pittsburgh watching a game back home?
I mean, it was great. It's always great to go back home without a doubt. So to hang out with the family. But yeah, I was a little hesitant to go to the game. I'm so glad I did go to the game. The atmosphere was incredible. I mean, I just love that stadium through and through, and the crowd on both sides. I mean, it was spectacular. I mean, especially in the first half, and the Packers I thought played extremely well in the second half. But my son Jack, we went back with me, and then I had my nephew and my two sisters there. So it was great. The hospitality was awesome, and I'm really glad I went back. It was good to see Aaron playing the black and gold, and just a lot of great conversation around certain people coming to say hello in the box. So it was a great night.
Hey, I heard your post up in a corner, pinky ring, Kangol on. Everybody's coming through saying thanks for coming back to town. That's what I heard they were saying. I heard that's how it was going. Well earned, brother. Well earned over there in Pittsburgh. And obviously that evening showcased the worst uniforms maybe in the history of ball. Those yellow they had on the Pittsburgh Steelers. Had Brett Michaels obviously absolutely slaughtering it. How was the performance? Brett Michaels' performance pretty good?
Crushed it. No, he was awesome. The whole night was awesome, but yeah, Brett was excellent.
Okay,
he really had the crowd going.
We've had conflicting reports from the stadium that maybe some places couldn't hear him as good, so maybe that's why the second half went the way that it went. But nonetheless, happy to hear that you liked.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, that's some of that happening out there, Coach. Some of that happening out there. So I'm happy you enjoyed it.
Yep.
You got to go. You have front row seat. That's good. And then there was "Go Pack Go" chants allegedly that turned the Pittsburgh Steelers into having to use a silent count at home. Bruce Arians, former Pittsburgh Steelers coach, says, "I'm embarrassed for the Steelers fans." But other than that, what do we learn on the field? AJ has a question for you, Coach.
Yeah, Coach, I don't know how many times you've watched the Packers or the Steelers offense play as a fan. I know as a kid, I'm sure you have, but watching Aaron from the stands, as a fan, what was that like, and what do you think his game looks like? He's moving around pretty well out there, and we know he obviously can still throw the ball.
Yeah, I think he's really starting to settle in. I really felt that way watching him against Cincinnati, the week before. And, I mean, it's like practice every day, AJ. You've been there. He makes, 3 or 4 throws. You just, they're routine, but his ball placement is still off the charts. He's starting to use his legs more, but I thought he looked good. The uniforms were different. Mind some of the, throwbacks that you guys wore back in the day, but it really was. It was a great atmosphere. The go pack go. We've heard that so many times on the road. That was something I didn't think I'd ever hear in Pittsburgh, but it was a really cool night. And I thought Green Bay really stepped it up in the second half. I've seen Green Bay play live 3 times now, and seeing them in person, I've been very impressed. Week 1, week 2, and then this past game against Pittsburgh.
AJ says whenever he watches a game, and I think a lot of ex-players say their natural tendency is to watch the position that they play. Okay, so AJ probably watching like linebacker potentially playing whenever he first retired. For me, obviously, I watched quarterback. That was kind of what I do in that entirety. Easy, 4-stringer, brother. Watch Thanksgiving. Go see the perfect passer rating. Okay, I don't know how often you played there, but Coach, are you watching and like calling plays in your head, or thinking about like what you would do next if you were calling the plays? Is that happening for you, especially with like Aaron? Like, okay, Aaron's doing this. I think we should probably do this next. And have you done that with every game that you've watched? If that question makes sense.
Yeah, no, it makes perfect sense because I just think we're all a product of our experience. I watch it more from a game plan perspective. I'm always very interested in who's playing with quicker tempo, the game operation, play entry, things like that, substitution. Particularly, watching Aaron, he had the one offsides that wasn't called, but the free play opportunities and things like that. So, and then obviously the third down, the red zone, the situational and the game management stuff. So I think you tend to just really try to go in the ebb and flow of the game, and it's funny because you're sitting there trying to watch the game, and it's cool, but when you have other people around you that want to talk and ask questions, and you're like, come on, man, it's 3rd and 5 here.
Yeah.
Pay
Coach.
attention. I mean, it's, what defense are they in? So I mean, yeah. So no, it's I think you watch the game from what you're used to. So I just really try to really stay in tune with the situations, and because it's just like you look at that game. There's 2 or 3 plays for Pittsburgh that go the other way, then maybe it's a tighter ball game in the second half. So, it just because the ebb and flow of the game is so critical to the success in our league, and I think it's just the parity has been so evident that games are that competitive, and the big plays just can swing that momentum, so far to the left, and that sometimes you can't get it back.